We were just talking before the break about the killing of A.J. Owens, a woman who knocked on, her neighbor talked really horribly to her children, threw skates to them, took their iPad. So when she went to bang on the door, the woman shot her through the door and killed her. 4 children are now motherless because of Florida. And they have a law, and the woman has not been arrested, right? So we will tweet out the Marion County Sheriff's website. You can call and email, but let's talk to somebody that actually is in government and understands how to get things done. Of course, he was a congressman, the first Muslim elected to Congress from the great state of Minnesota. He is also, I think, the first Black attorney general in Minnesota's history as well, reelected by a slimmer margin. We're going to talk about that as well. He's got a new book called Break the Wheel, Ending the Cycle of Police Violence. Let me welcome Keith Ellison back to the county.
Hey, Karen, Hi. Good to see you, my friend. How are you?
I am awesome. Good to see you.
Well, you're looking phenomenal. You're looking great.
Thank you.
And I can't see your socks, but I think you got Bomber socks on. So
yeah, I do. They're comfortable. Yes, thank you.
Very good
for noticing. Yeah.
What a world we living in, huh?
Is it? I'm like, is this 1919? Is this 1950? Or is this something else? Because I feel like we should know better at this point. So now the stakes are higher, right? When you know better, like we got history, we have not technology. This should not be going on in a world of civilized people.
No, well, so here's the thing, at some point, the gun makers, the gun retailers, and all the members of Congress who make sure that there's ample guns everywhere, you got to assume that they would expect these kind of tragic things to happen. So while the woman who shot A.J. Owens is certainly guilty, I believe, and should be charged and made to stand and face a jury, I think that the whole apparatus that set this up is also responsible. I mean, the whole fact that you have more mass shootings than you have days in the year in 2023. You can't say that you're for guns here, there, and everywhere, and then stand back. This tragedy happens and say it's not you, right?
Right.
Now, on the other hand, look, I'm not in Florida, but I will tell you this. Anybody who says they can't charge this case out, even understand your ground, just doesn't want to, right? Because look, you've got to, there must be some threat. You can't shoot somebody because they're on your porch. They have to be a threat of some kind. Well, did you see a gun? Obviously not. Did the person brandish one? No. How do we know? Because you shot through a door. You couldn't see what was on the other side of it. So to me, that is absolutely clear that this person needs to be shot, needs to be face justice. But look at this, look at what it took to have Ahmaud Arbery's killers charged. Look at it was a Herculean.
Took a video. I mean, it took a video that got leaked by one of the people that is now in jail.
They did it.
With 35 that did it. Without that video, Ahmaud Arbery's killing goes unnoticed.
Yeah, and they make the story up how they want, and then the other thing, is so many. I mean, look at Laquan McDonald's case took so long to be charged. There's so many cases like this. And by the way, right now, I mean, obviously, so many things in our country are racialized, but there's white folks getting shot in crazy situations like this.
Can you pause there for a second? Because I'm contending that this race thing is a trick bag that paints us into a corner that eventually we won't be able to get out of.
Right.
If we pull it into human beings deserve to be alive,
right,
and bring it across the board and take the race, because racism is like red, white, and blue with the stars. Let's just assume that it's baked in. But if we constantly use that as the litmus test or the metric by which we are going to end up in a corner that we won't be able to get out of, and we won't have any progress. So if even policing, because I feel like, your book on policing, step by step, you are definitely giving us a blueprint on how to break the wheel, but it's about the system. It's about the institution. It's not about race, because what happened to Tyree Nichols happened at the hands of Black men. What happened
Yeah,
to the brother in Baltimore who had his neck broken on that rod?
yeah,
Those were
Freddie Gray,
black
Freddie Gray.
officers. So clearly race is baked in. So let's all assume that. But then start dealing with the humanity of it all, to the guns, and why we foment this fear that allow for people to feel like they need so many guns because it's scary out there.
Well, let me tell you, I absolutely agree that this is an American problem. This is all of our problem. My fear about always obsessing on race is that it allows white people and others to think, oh, that's nothing I need to worry about. And it's something all of us need to worry about. Simultaneously, we do live in a country with 240 years of slavery, 100 years of Jim Crow, and 60 years of disparities in everything. Now, just because there's a disparity doesn't mean that white people or Latinos or Asian people are exempt. They certainly are not. I mean, the bottom line is, as you point out, you got the cheerleaders who were shot the other day. You know, I mean, these are two Texas cheerleaders shot after one opened the wrong door. And what about the people who showed up? I mean, this is outrageous, but still, two things can be true at the same time.
Yes.
One is that the people who create this atmosphere of ubiquitous guns, I think, are to blame, but also the person who shot AJ must be held accountable. All that needs to be factored in. And it's just creates an atmosphere of fear. And what does fear give you? Well, if you are politically ambitious and want to control everyone and everything, fear is a ladder. Fear and chaos are a ladder. You can climb them in order to achieve authority and dominance over others. So I am one who is suspicious of a public policy that makes sure that there are guns absolutely everywhere, are used flagrantly, frequently, and everything else. It's just a horrible situation. This mom, mother of four, shot and killed by a neighbor. At this point, nobody is facing justice for it. It's very sad.
A.G. Ellison, I had you on quite frequently during the whole George Floyd trial.
Yeah, it was great.
You were amazing with how you surgically and masterfully prosecuted that case. Every single officer is in jail. Every single officer has paid, not the debt that George Floyd paid, but they're all in jail. And thank you for that. 866-801-8255. Break the Wheel, Ending the Cycle of Police Violence. Is that possible? And why'd you write this book?
Well, we got to believe it's possible. And I do believe it's possible. There are cities in the United States have dramatically decreased the number of in custody deaths at the hands of law enforcement. You asked me why I wrote the book. That's a good question. I wrote the book because we need to drive a conversation on how we can end this cycle. It needs to be ended to protect human life. And now the life includes not just George Floyd, but it also includes officer wellness. I'm telling you that this tragic incident has broken the trust of community and law enforcement. And it's very difficult to do law enforcement if you can't rely on people to come to you and say, I saw this happen, and our relationship allows me to share this critical information with you. People who commit crimes who are private citizens, they know which neighborhoods have a strained relationship between police and community. I mean, if I know that people in this neighborhood don't trust the police, I can shoot people here, I can sell dope here, I can do all kinds of criminal conduct here. Nobody cares because everybody is afraid of the police as they are of me. I'm telling you, crime goes up after significant police incidents, tragic incidents. And we all know that if we're paying attention. It is important for us to bring police and community together. The people who we rely on to help keep us safe, we've got to be able to be in touch with them. Now, a lot of people say, well, we do. No, we don't, not everywhere. And that's where these issues of low-income communities, communities of color, others have different kind of policing than other higher income white communities. And we just might as well admit that to be true. It's true. Everybody kind of knows it's true. The other reason why I wrote this book is because if you just look at Minneapolis, we've spent over $100 million over the last 10 years on misconduct cases. right? $100 million. That's money that did not go into fixing potholes, did not go into extra lighting, did not go into front of it, helping small businesses improve their economic commercial viability. This is $100 million that did not go into community economic development, did not go into, I don't know, a water park for kids, for recreation, did not go into, $100 million in New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, Houston, they're paying more. And then also, when this happens, and there's all kind of research to support it, every few years, you're going to have a civil unrest. Every few years, if you don't do something about this problem, bam, there it is. Let's just name them. Civil unrest in Ferguson, civil unrest in Teaneck, New Jersey, civil unrest in Miami, civil unrest in Chicago, civil unrest in Minneapolis, civil unrest everywhere. When George Floyd was killed, it was the largest mass protest in American history. So for a lot of reasons, we need to end the cycle of police violence, and we can. What I say, Karen, is that if we prosecute crime, whether the person has a badge or not, and we hold people responsible for for obeying the work rules, then we make training something that everybody's taking seriously, because they know that there's meaningful accountability. At this point, in a lot that, there's 18,000 police departments in America. Many of them are great departments. I don't want to impugn all of them. I know a lot of great cops, but I do want to say that in some of them, there are some departments where there's no real benefit to being a good cop and no real punishment to being a bad one, And so I'm not saying there's not good cops in these departments. There certainly are. But like, if you take Carrie L. Horn, you know this lady, Carrie L. Horn?
Of course, Rochester, New York.
Well, I think it was Buffalo, but it doesn't
Buffalo,
matter.
yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah.
Buffalo, New York, her partner was being brutal to somebody. She stepped in, she lost her job, 15 years fighting to get her justice.
So you can't tell me Carrie L. Horn's not a great cop. She's doing it. She arrested somebody herself that day. She does her job. You commit a crime, Carrie L. Horn's going to put the cuffs on you. You're going to go have to face justice. But Carrie L. Horn says it's not my job to punish you. I'm going to take you to jail, and then you're going to be processed through the system. Her partner said, not only am I going to arrest you, I'm going to punish you too. And she intervened and said, whoa, whoa, whoa. And he started attacking her. She defends herself. She ends up, as you said, being the person who's punished. There's a lot of, and how many stories that we see that police officers, try to use restraint, try to de-escalate, try to do the right thing, and they end up being in trouble, not the one who's using excessive force, destroying the excellent reputation police departments should have. This is a situation that we can end the cycle of police violence. And I'll say this, Karen, if you don't mind me taking one more second here. A lot of folks will say, well, you see communities, where there's more violence between community members than involving the police. And you know what? That's true. But here's the thing. If I have a neighbor who does a violent act to me, I can call the police. But if a police officer does an illegal violent act to me, I'm without. There's a reason the Fourth Amendment to the Constitution says government agents may not use unreasonable search and seizure against you. That's because it's a basic constitutional principle and human rights principle that arbitrary violence by the state is a serious problem when it comes to democracy itself. Violence from a private individual is a sad, unfortunate, terrible thing. And if you do it, you should be arrested, investigated, prosecuted. But what about when the state is doing it? Well, that's when it goes from crime to tyranny, right? And we don't want tyranny. We want democracy. And then, of course, there's the equal protection thing. George Floyd was treated as if he was beneath the law. Derek Chauvin was treated like he was above the law. So